Hi, friends. I'm Flutter. I'm excited to share the updates that I've made to the Dream Lodge with you today and just talk about how I fell in love with that project again. It's always an up and down process, right? Look at how nice and green it is out here. I'm so excited. Summer is right around the corner. All right, so let's go to my computer and check out what I've been working on.
Creating VR experiences is a marathon. And you have to learn how to go fast when you need to and how to go slow when you need to. And I think both modes are really critical. But I think if you stay in one of those modes too long, it's not helpful. And that's something I've just learned with the creative process in general. And I felt that here when working on some of these recent interactions for this project. I'm excited to give you an update about these two interactions that are really important for this VR story app. And the first one being the book, the page turning. So let's take a look at that. We're going to have to go inside the cabin. What's new here is now the book is on the desk in front of a beautiful window. So if you like to look out the window while you read or write, this gives that same effect. I also changed the controls from the flat UI that you would point the trigger button to slide over. So the slider really was hard to work with when you were in VR. And often I noticed that the ray would disconnect from the button and it just was not a good interaction in VR. It didn't feel right. So what I did is I added these two thick 3D arrows, and now you can poke them or you could press the grip button and you'll go forward or backward really fast or slow depending on how you feel. And what I like is even if you go fast, I think the interaction of and watching that book slowly open and watching each page open, even if it's going fast, it still brings the player into a slower mode of being. And I like that a lot. So that was a really good change that I made. I think it's easier to understand as well. And I do have a particle system that will be here to indicate to the player that there's something to do there. And they will start right in front of this book. So this is the hub where you choose a story and then you go into the story. So the other thing that I'm going to need to fix is when you press about on any of the pages here to find out about a story, this menu will appear. And what I don't like right now is I think it's way too big. It looks really nice. It does appear to be legible in VR, but I think it needs to be at least half the size smaller. I'm going to really have to play with this. Unfortunately, I do need some sort of menu in here, so this is really a challenge. I want people to be able to decide if they want to buy the story and experience it or not. And the only way they're going to be able to do that is if they know more about it than just the image of it. So I'm really going to have a challenge with that. The other big thing I do think needs to be worked on sooner than later is lighting. Right now, everything's really dark around the book, so it's kind of hard to even see the pages. So I'm going to have to do that. And lighting is always so critical in VR anyway, to get the right mood and setting and just have everything really be comfortable. And I think it'll be nice to have this standing light have a light as well. One more thing I just wanted to show you. I did have this book here that when it would collide with the player's head, it would open and you could play the story from there, but it just felt too cumbersome. It had a lot of steps, but I do think it's a cool interaction for something else. So everything in this room has potential to expand upon, and I can't wait. So even though this is a small scene, I think there will be a lot for people to explore and do just in the home base when they arrive in the app. And then from there, when they feel ready, they can go into a story. So let's take a look at the weathervane interaction next. The player goes up to this replica of the weathervane and presses the grip button, and then the arrow moves to the next direction, whether it be north, south, east, or west. So there's 4 different skies that also have 4 different sounds and visual effects to give a different mood. And it's very subtle, and one sky blends into the next, and it really feels so much better in VR than when I was thinking about it. So it is such a good idea to build quickly and test to see if what you're thinking is really going to actually feel great in VR or not. I couldn't believe it was better than I expected, so I got really excited about it. And I already posted a little clip of it on LinkedIn because I thought, oh, this is just so fun. And this is like the reason I do VR, and I love the subtle mood that it provides, and it's just so much fun to change the sky and feel like you have all this control of your own world. How fun. So the script is this one, weathervane skybox blender script that I made from scratch. I tried another one, Changer, but that's different, and so we won't talk about that. I created the different direction sets. That's what I call these different skies, and they have a different, skybox, audio source, particle effect, and then there is a blend duration when it goes from one to the other. How fast is that rotation going to go? And then I don't want the player to be spamming the weathervane because it does take time to allow for the next sky and special effect and sound to come in. And also you want it to be a slow interaction. You don't want it to just flip through like that. It's part of the pacing and the vibe of the whole app. And you don't want it to glitch. So it all works together in that sense. Also, there's a sound so that the player knows that they actually activated the weathervane, and it's a pop sound for right now. And yes, I have that cooldown. So the script, I can just show it to you the side really quick, is here. You can pause it if you need to see it in more detail, but this is what it is. I just want to see if there's anything else I haven't just mentioned. I think I mentioned everything. And I do have a default skybox that it starts on. So it kind of doesn't matter where the sky starts on the start because I have it. It doesn't really matter. So under environment and lighting, I have the runtime one. But in the script, it just will automatically start on the north one, which is the sunset here. Yeah, so it's really nice when you click the replica down here of the weathervane and it moves 45 degrees to one of these different positions. This top one also moves there, and I think that's just a nice touch. So you really feel like you're manipulating the world and the cabin, and it flows. Also, I want to make sure that I blend each one of these skies really well into each other. So I'm going to spend more time on the colors and the special effects and the sounds. I may also blend the sound and the special effect between each one. Right now, I'm having the sound and the particle system is what those effects are in each of these cases. They just snap on right after the gradient blend stops, and you see the new sky, and then it's so there's a bit of a snap there, but I think it doesn't really bother me too much, but I'm gonna play with that. Maybe a timeline will be a good idea to use here, but that's where I'm at right now. There were 2 Unity Asset Store assets that I purchased thinking that I was going to use them. One of them was Sky Studio, and I thought this was going to just be absolutely perfect for what I was doing, but it ended up not working in VR with URP. In the right eye, it just wouldn't render, and I think it's because this was made for the built-in pipeline And even though it's really mobile friendly, it would be perfect. It comes with transitions. It's like really what I wanted, but it doesn't appear that the developers doing any more support on it, and I just couldn't figure out the renderer issue. So something with stereo rendering, it just wasn't working. So just want to let you know, I tried that one. And the other skybox that I was trying was from this asset called Cozy Weather. And this is just a beautiful, really robust asset. It does work in VR, so that was great. However, it's really performance heavy, so you'd have to be very selective of what module you want to use. And then something else that I noticed is it looked really muddy in my scene. So out of the box, you're going to have to do, I think, a lot of tweaks to your lighting and get your lighting really in a good place while using this so that they work together. And that really probably won't work for me since I need to bake a lot of the lights and do those fairly quick transitions from one sky to the other that I thought, well, this might not actually work. It does work in VR, but yeah, I just didn't feel that it was right for this purpose. So maybe I'll use it for something else. It just is it's really robust. And I think for what I'm doing, what I created from scratch might just be fine. It's kind of funny how, you're looking for solutions you might find and you're willing to pay for them. And then you realize, maybe I should just do it myself from scratch, because then you can really see when there's a problem. You know exactly where it is because you've been creating each part one step at a time. So I do like that for that reason, creating my own scripts. And so I feel that there's a lot that I can build upon for this one. And I'm just starting, with this script here, but I feel that there's more that I can build on as I go. Also, I invite you to visit my Substack. I just wrote an article about slow art, fast tech, and I go into the philosophy behind these subtle interactions that really have this human feeling to them. I think you might enjoy reading about my thoughts there too. I'll put a link in the description.
What I've learned from this is just to honor those pauses. And, I always say keep on going. Thanks, friends, for being here. I just really appreciate it. It means a lot to me. And let me know in the comments those small moments that you notice in life that bring you that sense of peace, curiosity, and wonder. I'd love to hear. Bye for now.